I have done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. I am the kind of human that can handle this moment in front of me. When you have that, not only do you actually have more success because you navigate these defining moments better, but you'll step into more moments in the future.
Today is really just so super special because I have the opportunity to ask questions of an individual who knows what it takes to inspire and motivate at the highest levels. Someone who has taken his career from where the prospect was, in his own words, virtually zero of him becoming what he's become, has evolved into a monument of inspiration in a way that I'm grateful to call a colleague and now a friend. Please welcome none other than Mr. Anthony Trucks. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing very well, man. It's a beautiful day. No complaints on my end of the world. Life's good, wife's good, kids are good. I'm solid.
So right off the bat, I think it's important to level set and help everyone understand your level of expertise and where it kind of stems from. Can you help guide the audience in understanding what mission are you on?
Yeah, man. I am on a mission at this point to help people develop dominators' identities. I believe you cannot attain or sustain like literally any goal, anything in life above your current identity, habits, patterns, actions, perspectives, framing of situations. And so however you are is what you'll kind of do to create things. But it's developed through hardship, to be quite honest. And most people avoid hardship or don't learn from it. So they keep repeating the same stupid cycle. So how I show up in the world is I want you to have what I call a dominator's identity, which only means I'm in control and I govern. That's domination. I'm in control and I govern. You could dominate a meditation routine, right? It's not this, kind of grip that's hard and rough. But on top of that, I want you to show up to what I call defining moments in your life later with a dominator's identity mentality of I have done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. It's a guttural sense of control and ability that whenever I've done something at the hardest, deepest level, that I am the kind of human that can handle this moment in front of me. When you have that, not only do you actually have more success because you navigate these defining moments better, but you'll step into more moments in the future.
We're going to get a bit deep right off the bat. And you talked about control. What does it mean to have that type of control? You were talking about this ability to dominate, but what does it mean and why is it so important to have that sense of control?
I actually think control is more important than freedom. A lot of people ask me, like, don't you want to have freedom and is that success? I go, I think success is control because there's like twofold levels of control. One control is I can control what's around me. I think when I am in control, I have freedom. If I'm playing a video game and I'm the first player, I can control what we do, right? But there's also the moments when I'm not in control of the situation, but I'm in control of me in the situation. And I think we run into more of those than the other ones. So I can control, like, for example, I love the idea that I can get up when I want to get up. I can do what I want to do with my life, with my kids, with my whatever. I can do that, right? But I'm not in control if all of a sudden like a flight's delayed. I'm not in control if, something happens with my kids at school and I got to like leave something to go. I'm not in control if a water main busts and I'm just not in control. But I'm in control if I let it ruin the rest of my day because the world's a mirror to me. If my flight's delayed and I'm not in control of my emotions and I get angry or frustrated or pissed off and I take it out on the flight attendant, well, now I'm going to get some reverse anger, right? And I'm not going to have an enjoyable day. And now everything just spins off into this kind of really negative cycle because, well, you're mean to me, so I'm more angry, so I'm more angry. And it's a vicious cycle. But if I had control of me and I go, you know what? It's not ideal, Anthony, but hey, maybe you get to sit down and maybe you could download a different movie, watch a different show if you're at the airport, it's delayed, or maybe something happened at the kid's school, but it's a great time to teach a lesson about how to be able to handle yourself in the world that I'm not always going to be there for them to handle themselves, right? So if you can control how you're genuinely like looking at it, I don't want to say response, but how am I at least looking at it? Because people say you can control your response. Yes, you can, but if you can't control your emotions or control yourself, you can't control your response. So I want to be able to control like how I'm seeing, how I'm framing, which controls the emotions, which then controls my action. So I want to control my perspective of situations, my framing of situations. So I give that moment a meaning, which feeds me an emotion, which controls my actions.
Where does all this wisdom come from? How did you develop this sense of control?
living life, dude. You know, I'm not some like, I didn't go to the top of a mountain and sit there with a bunch of, buzzards and birds and like fleas. You know what I think we all have moments, many, many moments every day where life can teach us lessons, but we get stuck in this weird perspective or a weird ego or a framing of this is who I am. So if this isn't in line with who I am, I don't want to hear it. Whereas for me, I've opened the doors. Like I'm a football guy, but I experience life the same way all of us do. I just like to look at it differently. It's not all about me. I'm not the most infallible human. I love me for who I am, but I love learning, and learning comes with being wrong. So like, I can just kind of have these different perspectives and ideas, and then I actually spend time thinking. Like I really do. I think in the world of how we all function, we don't actually think. I think we look at things, we're processing, but most of it are like we're just staring and we're vegging out. Or I'm trying to find something that aligns with an already preconceived thought, and I'm not allowing myself just to be. And so I'm trying to find ways to align. But for me, I just go, now let me think. And I'll actually sit here and I'll have thoughts that scare me. Like I'll have actual fear in my blood because I'm thinking about a thought. If I'm on this, like the battlefield, and all of a sudden a bullet whizzes by, and I'll try to actually be there and think about what would I do and how would that feel? Or like somebody said something or somebody does something. And so I can be in my house just thinking about random things and putting perspectives together in different ways. And you can call it wisdom because I think experience that is seasoned becomes wisdom. So I'm just kind of like actively seasoning life, we'll call it.
Now, the reason I say it like this is because the stages that you've been on, there's a certain level of objective deference that has to be given because there's this wild trail of evidence that over the course of your career you've established, whether it's inspiring a wide array of adults by the thousands, being on the same stage as the most familiar names, most household names that exist, from Brendon Burchard and on. In the motivational speaker space, you're in the same conversation as those individuals. What, in your view, has been the catalyst, in your experience, to get to your current stage?
Yeah, it's going to be a simple one. I am not an ask hole. So a lot of people ask the question, what do I got to do to get that level? What do I got to? And then they get an answer. They don't do anything with it. The definitive difference between me and a lot of people, because most people don't know, like I found out about this world in 2014. Brendon Burchard at an event. I just showed up. I didn't know who he was, I was just like, I'm just going to go. Didn't know anything about it. And then fast forward 2.5, maybe almost 3 years, I was speaking on his stage in front of the same 2,000 people. I wasn't a speaker before I went into that room. I didn't, in 2014, I just was a dude. But what I did is like, I went there, and when a lot of people go there, I heard this on the way to lunch one time. Someone goes, yeah, that's my 7th event. And in my head, I go, what, 7th? How did you go the second time? What did you not learn the first time? Like, what's going on here? Because in my brain, I'm a football guy. They tell you, here's the play, go do this. You read the play, you go do that thing. The separation, which got me to that level, was I would go and ask the question or learn the information and go do it. That's it. I would go do it. And the doing of it, it's crazy. You get more than what they promise you. No matter who you're following in some area, you think that you're getting the answer to the solution to get that area, but you're not. You're getting exposed to two things. One is what really is going on there, because like they give you an idea to get you moving, but there's really more when you arrive there. Secondly, you get exposed to what your next question should be. And most people have no idea that that's the most powerful thing, is the next question to know, to ask, to clarify your next moves. So like, what do I do in 6 months? I can't tell you, because even if I did, you wouldn't even know it's a valuable question to ask. It wouldn't make sense to you. So what I did is I would go there and he'd say, hey, film videos. Got it. Post them. Got it. I'd get people. I was posting videos every single week. Then I started doing every single day, because I go, well, he says you got to do a lot of repetitions to get good at speaking. Post so the world can see. For 1,333 straight days, 3.65 years, I did a 90-second video every day. It wasn't to be famous. It was to learn how to speak extemporaneously like this, just talk and flow, but also to get some kind of notoriety, have an audience trust me. When you know I've posted a video every day, you can go like, this dude's going to do what he says he's going to do. That's the secret, but it's not a secret. Most people just won't do it. And so when those people see you like, this guy gets down like I do, they welcome you in. But people don't want to hang around with people that aren't at a level of like how they are, or don't get what it takes to like arrive at their level, because they know if they keep giving you insight, they're not going to do anything with it. So for me, I've taken the insight and I build and I do, and it gets you at a level to where you can have conversations with them. They go, great, come hang out with us.
You said something interesting at the top that before you had stepped on that stage, you weren't a speaker.
No.
But now you quite literally are.
Yeah.
In your view, what makes for an effective and captivating speaker?
Three things. One is you must have a unique story, and it ain't got to be crazy, but a unique story or one you can frame up to be unique, right? Because there's a lot of the things that people have as experiences. They think like, well, I just had this happen. Yeah, but have you told it in this enthralling way? You can do that. But I need you to find the story that you want to tell. One that you can tell every day and not get tired of telling. I don't care what it is. Like I have a story that my life, I love telling. I never get tired. People go, how do you tell it every time? I go, because I know it's the first time this person's hearing it. And I love telling the story. So that's one part of it. The second part of it's you got to get great, in my opinion, at being an amazing orator, right? Speaker, you have to be able to speak, right? You have to be able to tell words and ideas and inflect your voice and tonality. And you just have to learn how to do your thing from a craft perspective, right? That's my thought. Because obviously everybody thinks that's all it is. If I can be great at speaking, I'll be a great speaker. Not if your stories aren't put together well. You can inflect your voice and everything, but if I can't follow it or I'm not engaged properly, like, it's no fun. The third thing, in my opinion, is you've got to be able to turn your experience into a valuable experience for the audience. Because most people have a great experience and it's like they turn into a glorified YouTube video or Netflix TV show, right? I'm just watching you. I don't watch Netflix to change my life. I watch to be entertained. So if you have a cool story and you can tell it well, great, you're entertaining. You want to be an impactful, high-fee speaker? I need you to come to my audience of people and have them leave and do something that allows me to generate more income or more impact from what you told my people. There's got to be something that you can apply that is extracted from your story. So most speakers don't go this deep. They just go, I'm going to tell a cool story. I went here and I felt this and I did this and I had this. And it's like, I'm glad you did that, but I'm sitting here watching for an hour. I don't know about me. I have no more belief in me. I don't even know how to do what you did. In fact, I feel more separate because I'm not as cool or as experienced as you. So if I walked in and go, foster kid, college, scholarship, NFL football player, American Ninja Warrior, I'm great. You're going to go, oh, cool story. But like, what about me, bro? Whereas for me, I go, here's what I did, but here's what I learned I want you to apply to your own life. So it's doing that in a way to where when individuals are seeing you, they go, God, this makes me feel amazing. I can go have success. So do you have a cool story that you can actually tell? Do you have a skill of sharing it? And can I extract something from the story to apply to my own life or my audience's life?
The actionable insight that you touched on right there is so key. Bridging that gap between the narrative and the action that people can take to implement on a daily basis. That in and of itself is what distinguishes the greats from
not so great.
Who are trying. Yeah.
If you miss any one of those, you're not as, if you have amazing takeaways, but you have no cool story, and you can tell it well, it's like, all right, cool. I don't get the takeaway though, because the story didn't match, right? Because it may not even be your story. It could be somebody else's and it's not yours. It's kind of weird. Or if you're phenomenal at sharing your story and you have this, say amazing takeaways, but like, I don't get the takeaway from it. Or sorry, you have amazing story, but I don't get the takeaway. It's a loss. Or if I have amazing takeaways and a great story, but you can't deliver it well, I'm not paying attention. So you need to have all three of those. It's got to be a collective base to really get you to the point of being a potentially amazing speaker. But if you're missing one, it all falls down. It's like a tripod. You can't hold the camera up.
There's this concept that you talk quite a lot about. It's on your microphone.
Yeah.
It's in the essence of what you and I have talked about previously, the dark work.
Mm-hmm.
What is the dark work and why is it so important to go and explore it?
The dark work is the work you do in the dark so you can win the light. It is, gosh, it's the single most important thing that we as humans need to be able to fall in love with to have success later on in life. Because later on in life, you have moments of two things. One, I have a skill and I have this brazenness to deploy that skill. The defining moments I talked about, that identity thing, I need you to show up to a moment and go, I got the ability to do this. Like, I know I have the ability to do this, and you actually do. You don't get that because you woke up one morning and go, God, I want to be a pilot today. I'm an amazing pilot, but you never flew and you have, no confidence to do so. can't be an amazing pilot. But if you did what I call dark work, it's the unsexy, unseen, ridiculed, misunderstood work in the dark when nobody was watching, right? If you put those hours in, you have two things. One's it's this incredible skill set that was developed repetitiously to where you can't mess it up anymore. It's instinctual. It almost just happens. People go, God, you must have been born like that. No, I woke up every day and did this to where it looks like it's effortless. The other part of it you develop is an investment bias. The investment bias is huge for us humans. And I don't know if we pay attention to it as much as we really should. When you've put time and energy into something, you expect a return. If I give you money, I expect a return on my investment. If I give time, the return is pride, confidence, self-esteem, that brazenness I'm talking about. So you show up to these defining moments with a mentality I mentioned of, I've done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. But that is because you've done that dark work. And it should be something you settle into almost like a flow. Like it's a state of being that when you're in it, it's like the rest of the world drowns out. And you just focus. And the harder it is, the better it is for you later. Now, you ever seen people that the running joke is like, the first rule of CrossFit is talk about CrossFit, right? I go, why in the world why is that such a big thing they talk about? And I go, oh, it's because they go in and they kill themselves. They beat their bodies up. They're puking, they're fighting, they're dying. It's so hard, right? That's why they have so much pride. The harder it is, the more pride you have around it, the more you'll fight and tell people about it.
I've never heard it like that. That was interesting. The more you fight for it, then the more you'll tell people about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's how it is. Think about, like, you got your parent, like all the moms. I'm a mom, and why are we talking about mom? Because being a mom's hard. That motherhood, the fatherhood, it's hard. So you talk about it because you're proud of the hard stuff you did. But if you don't do hard stuff, there's no pride there.
And going back to something that you addressed earlier, when it comes to identity, those hard experiences help shape our identity.
Heck yeah, they do. Yeah, because
yeah. I mean, can you expand on that? That's kind of where the question was going. How do we shape our identity? I know that you have a tool that people can use to help figure out what type of identity, if they're struggling with it, to embody, or that where they're currently at relative to where they want to go. Maybe you could expand a bit on what, in your view, shaping an identity actually looks like these days.
Yeah. Well, it's all of us have identities currently, which is good. They were shaped a certain way. We just don't know how. There is a way to figure out kind of which one you might be. There's like four that have a segment that I kind of talk through. But the realistic part is this. As we all stand right in this moment, we identify with certain things. Mom, dad, father, son, strong, weak, right? This identification with something. And it's always because of something we experienced. It's wired neurologically and psychologically within us. If I've spent hours and hours and hours playing video games, I'm a gamer, right? If I haven't, I play video games. It's a difference, right? Or if I'm a guy that spent decades boxing, I'm a boxer. Or I put some gloves on, I'm trying out boxing. There's not an identification with it. And the only separation is, what did you do that you experienced to lead you there? And so the gift is, well, a lot of us go, I'm not a speaker, or, I'm not I don't know, basketball player. I don't know how to build a website. Cool. The only difference between you and the person who is just the experience they went through. And it's an ugly journey of starting something when you suck and just keep on doing it, right? The more you do it, the more you have different experiences, some good, some bad, but over time, they rewire you to get to where you want to be in the future. So if you want to adjust your identity, or shift it, as I call it, the idea is not to go, okay, I'm going to wake up and look in the mirror and say, you are a millionaire. Like, that sounds good, right? Or you get to the point of doing things millionaires do. Maybe it's a morning routine. Maybe it's a way that you handle your money. Maybe it's a way you develop a skill set that you put in the world. You build a business, whatever it is. Like, whatever that ends up being, when you actually do have the $1 million in your bank, it's a different sense of ownership. So much so you'll fight for that. Like, you'll battle for it. You'll get in arguments if someone tries to take it away from you or take the pride from you. But the identification portion at some point later is all because of what experiences you subject yourself to.
This episode is brought to you by Slate Milk. Slate Milk is a protein chocolate drink that gives you all the necessary energy after you have finished a hard training session, or also serves as an awesome snack, whether it's hot or cold. I commute 2 hours a day
to my job. And every single day after I train, I'm looking for a quick snack or post workout drink that I don't have to spend time making. So I go into my fridge, I take out my slate, and I hit the road as fast as I can and enjoy my drink on the way to work. That's the way that I personally like to enjoy it because there's so many different flavors. So in the morning, the mocha flavor with the caffeine definitely hits. I can also recommend you check out their other flavors. It is a phenomenal brand. They are the number one partner of the UFC. You can actually go to their website, slatemilk.com, type in the code INSPIRED for 10% off your first order. So go ahead, type in the code INSPIRED at slatemilk.com to get 10% off your first order today. This episode is brought to you by ProMix. ProMix is an energy supplement brand that provides a whole plethora of different products, from protein cereal bars to protein shakes, probiotic, prebiotic, deep low products, along with electrolytes, and the list goes on. ProMix is the supplement that I go to for all of my health needs. It has been a game changer for me over the last few months. After the 1,000 pull-up challenge, my immune system was compromised in ways that were super uncomfortable. I kept getting sick, and I knew I needed to level up my game. I didn't place enough value on supplements, but I do now. I spent some time, I did my research, and ProMix is the brand that I decided to work with because my immune system is finally in check. So go check out promix.com and type in the code inside the inspired to get 20% off your first order today. That's right. Go to promix.com to get 20% off your first order today with the code inside the inspired.
When you go through your Rolodex of experience, is there one that stands out as a catalyst for your growth, a moment and an inflection point that you can kind of point to where it's like, it's time to change and now I'm going to go do it?
Oh, 100%. There's a lot of them. There's one that's the most adult one, I think I'll call it, because as a kid, I had moments when I was a football player and I wasn't good and I wanted to get good. So a whole off season, I just dug in. It was the first darker experience I did unintentionally, but it was amazing for what it turned into. And then I did it in college as a father, business. But there was one in like 2016 after I was divorced from my ex-wife, right? We were kind of going through life and just I fell apart, man. I didn't know who I was or what I want to create. I wasn't showing up as a good father or a good husband in any way. And I just kind of went into this fog of life. And I remember I woke up on New Year's Day, 2016. I had flown a woman out from Russia. I was single, it was like 2.5 year mark of my divorce, and flown her out. Couldn't speak English, purely physical connection. I woke up feeling dirty, man. I was like hungover. I had a hook on my lungs, and just she's in the bed. I can't even talk to her like with my voice. It was like all Google Translate and but on paper, Playboy. Oh, I got a girl from a different country. And I just woke up and I was disgusted. I looked in the mirror and I was like, I hate this guy. Like, who are you? Your mom wouldn't approve of this. Your kids should never emulate you in any way. Your daughter better not be the guy like you. Like, your God ain't let you into heaven like that. It was just like this really weird, I was internally disgusted with myself. And I realized I had to change something because the place I was headed was not a place I really wanted to go. And it started there and it turned into the next stage of asking a bunch of questions like, how'd you get here? What's going on? And ton of ownership. Because I think part of us has to realize that we're the common denominators in all of our problems, whether we created it or we're allowing it. Like, we're there. Obviously, it's affecting us. So we're probably, got a bit. But once you do that, it allows you to, as best I could, somewhat subjectively look at yourself and go, what did you do wrong? Right. Or even objectively, and go, what did you do? What's your thing? And that kind of truth, when you actually own up to what it is, it gives you some next level actions that you may not want to do, but if you do them, it creates that new experience. So apologizing, taking ownership, admitting things that were not the best part of who you were, and then trying to do things different than who you see yourself to be. There's also shame built into that because you realize what you messed up, and then you go, "Do I deserve to have more?" And it's like, yeah, we all do, but you gotta earn that more. So go do things against the odds of people look at you crazy and whatever you may. Go do that stuff, and over time, you retrain the world on who you are. You retrain you on who you are also, and you build out of it. But that was the window. And then from that 3 years divorce and craziness, remarried my ex-wife, have an amazing marriage, built a great business. I'm a great father. I wasn't that 8 years ago. I was a guy trying to go through the motions, flying random women out from different places to hang out and do and just the things you think that look on TV like they're all fast and cool, empty as all get out. And now my life is more full than it could ever be.
The reflection and the awareness around where you were relative to who you wanted to be, there's an element of vision that comes into that too, right? Because I'm sure you had also had those thoughts previously to that moment where you're like, I can be more, I can do more. At least I'll speak to my own experience.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I don't know if it was, I think part of it was my mom passed away and I realized I wasn't living to my potential. And so there was that do more. I think a lot of it for me, which for most of us, I wanted to avoid the pain. Like that was the thing. I kept experiencing pain, and no matter what I do, the pain wouldn't stop. And I go, the only antithesis to pain is like positive and joy. And so while I was trying to endure the pain, I wasn't trying to create positivity and joy. I wasn't putting myself in emotion for that. I'd removed myself from things that were positive, and so I was putting myself back in. But that's where the shame was at. I was like, I'd fallen so far off. Do those people going to hang out with me? Do I want to be around? And also, as much as we like to not think it's part of us, like we all say, I'm not perfect, right? But the moment an imperfection arises, we try to hide it and don't tell anybody it exists. And no, I'm good. When the reality is you need to let your ego take a break. You need to kill the ego off. There's got to be some kind of ego death where you go, no, I do suck in this area. Doesn't mean I'm a horrible human, but I do suck here. That's why I don't like the idea nowadays of like the whole, like coaches are too hard and everyone should get some participation because they gave some effort. Yeah, right. Okay, you gave some effort. If you want to go run a marathon, you can't run a mile and go, give me my medal. I went a mile. I did my best effort. No, you got to finish the race. And it may have to be, hey, go lose some weight. Go get in better shape. You should feel bad. Doesn't mean you should hate yourself, but you should feel bad enough to motivate you to do the thing it takes to feel great. And so in those moments, while I knew there was a potential portion to it, I think for me, a lot of it was just like, I don't want to feel this crappy anymore.
The pain has to outweigh the pleasure portion, right? In order to kind of feel enough to actually take action and make the shift. Yeah. When it comes to personal development, professional development, I'm from the school of thought that it's a more holistic approach and that obviously one bleeds into the other, but that they can kind of both be shaped concurrently. And when you look at best practices, and there's so much information out there in terms of, get present, have gratitude, work out. There's this universal approach almost to the point that it's all just kind of pushed down our throats, like be the best version of you. Mm-hmm. What is unique about your approach when it comes to exploring the best sides of ourselves and how we can achieve it?
I don't think we've been introduced to them, so we don't have an emotional connection to it yet. There's my wife's one of her good friends had a situation where she was always overweight her entire life. My wife did the best she could to get her to get doing it. Her friend would be like, yeah, I kind of want to get in shape. And it's like, my wife would go, why doesn't she want to push? Like, I go, she doesn't have an emotional connection to what that better part of her is. She's never experienced it. She can look at it and see what it could be. But there's actually a study by UCLA done. It's called The Stranger Inside, that we can't actually see our future selves. We may think to it. There's not an emotional connection. I know my wife. I know my kids. I don't know Anthony in 10 years. So I don't sacrifice for that person. I don't look at the same way. And so I think that there's a part of it where we're not really seeing what it could be and what we create. But I do believe, for me, my thought is, you know who you are in those moments that are challenging. And if you think about all the moments that challenge you, that you stepped out of, God, you felt amazing about yourself. And if you want to have a person later on where you love that person, you look in the mirror, that's the quickest pathway. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be you being disciplined past the point of like, I didn't eat that. I did read that. I did say that. I did go there. I built that. I don't care what it is, but it needs to challenge you, because when it does challenge you, you create in real time the best version of you. And that's something you know now. Now, emotionally, that connection is quick when it's fitness. That's one of the best ways to do it. You go do in 20 minutes from now, if we both went to like, hey, as many burpees as you can do, and we just kept going, we had a record, we could beat it in 20 minutes and feel immediate gratification, because physically, like, we know how hard it was. My mind didn't want to do it, but I kept on, right? So that's why so many people that have these motivational things, there's always fitness tied to it. It's a beautiful connection to mind and body and spirit. And so for me, the way I look at it is, kind of getting all those ideas and synthesizing it down for you, it's you need to go do hard things. Go do something hard, sometimes for the pure purpose of it being hard. And what happens is you start to find out who you are, have a confidence in you being able to do hard things, and then you can borrow that to apply it to another place that's important to you. Could be your marriage, could be your career, could be your business. But if you don't have that confidence, that pride, that believability in yourself from anywhere, you can't apply it anywhere. So you need to actually have that. So for me, that idea that we're talking, it's like really based in like, you got to do something hard and you got to do it so consistently it becomes easy, in fact.
Let's talk about fitness for a second. You're a fit guy. You have an athletic background. What are some of the things that are working for you?
Oh, man, a couple of things. One is I get involved in competitive things that make you have to go and compete again. I don't play football, but like next week, my wife and I are going to fly up to Spokane, Washington, do a Masters track meet. I'm 40 plus now, so she's going to be almost there. But like we go do things. I part of my brain, my best friend said this. He goes, man, I'm at 40 years old. I have to accept that I'll never be what I am. And just, it's maintenance and holding on. I go, that's a weird way to think about it. I don't know if that's what I want my mind. My mind immediately goes, no. And I go, it's not that I don't want to maintain, not that I don't want to, like be peaceful, but I like the part of me who wants to see what he can do and test his limits, but in a new area. So I go, I've never done Masters track or track like that. Let's go see what I can do, right? Comparatively to my peers, I may not be the best, but I'm going to try my best. And I get to be more like the person that I was before, because he did say this. He goes, we can never be who we were. We can never get back to who we were. And I go, yeah, but if I want to go in the direction, let me think about what the difference was between then and now. When we're kids, we get up every day, we play, we move our bodies, we compete. That's it. We play, move our bodies, and compete in some manner, kickball, tetherball. So I go, well, I may not be that. I can do the things that led me to being that kid. I would go out, I would play, I would move, I would compete. So while, I'm not going to go out there every day and run around in recesses. I can't. I'm a grown man. It's going to be weird if I'm at a kid's little school playing recess, right? But I can go do different things, and it allows me to still be in the flow of living life. And so for me, I love the idea of being active and moving, and it ties into my life. Like I do those things, and also I train with my wife. This morning we just worked out from like 8:30 to 10. We do what my son does in college. In fact, we have his workouts. So what he's doing for college, we do here. So like we're all together. It's like this unique thing that our family all loves to do. So we do it together. We train together. We push each other together. And it allows us to kind of keep it, as opposed to it's me working out, trying to carve it outside of the time my wife wants to bake goods and, and do fatty stuff. Like we all do things together. So because of that, it's not like this extra thing I'm doing away from the family. It's part of who we are.
The way that your training has evolved over time, it's also fostered this sense of community, especially within your family, it seems. And on that note of fostering community, you've built your own community over time.
Yeah.
What have been the key elements in building that community, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah. It's everything. I grew up in foster care, didn't have that. So I found unique, I would say instinctual ways from my experience to create it. I'll tell you some of the core things I think about when I have communities. I got really great communities that just almost happen. And it doesn't just happen randomly. It's because of the way that I flow. From a brick and mortar gym where people loved it so much that when I sold it the first time and reopened it, they all came back. They left their gyms and come back because of how emotionally connected they were to that experience and that environment. So, and then also online, I got amazing online communities. The community aspect for me is I want you to feel like it's a third home. There's like your home, there's like a work home, there's like the extra home, right? And I want you to want to go there early, to want to hang out. Like we had a call today with the coaching. There was like, I think 15 people on with 3 people who had questions. That means that 12 people just wanted to be there. Just want to be there, right? You go, how does that happen? I go, well, a couple of things. One is I give them structure. So that's not like nobody doesn't know what to do and how to be when they're there. Like there's a structure of what to say, what to do, how we flow. I think that some of the things, people can't get comfortable in environments if they don't know what the structure of the environment is. So I lay it out. It's clear. Here's what we do, this, what we do, how we do. So they're always like, oh, okay, I know how to be here. And a lot of them, I go, if you want to be a fly in the wall, be a fly in the wall. Just sit and stare. Cool. They got it. Now we're comfortable. The second thing is I want to make them better. And in making them better, I can gracefully challenge them in a way that is not diminishing or embarrassing. It's a big piece of it. When you have a community, I want to be around people that make me better. It's why I get in these communities. I don't want to feel like a piece of trash when they do it though. Like I don't want them to be like, damn it, Janet, you suck. Like you don't do that. So treat people well, right? And then also I do this. I do not become infallible. I'm the one that can lead, but I'm very open in saying, you bring value to this community because you might know something I don't know. Please share it. Now, collectively, I know more than probably most of you wouldn't be in my community, but there's going to be areas where I don't know anything. And if I am the guy that's like trying to hold that, people feel that. And they go, it's just guy's weird. Like he thinks he knows everything. It's just nobody likes that kind of guy. So I'll sit back and I'll go, hell yeah, phenomenal idea today, Desiree. Like, well done. Like, I didn't even think of that, right? And they realize while I've created the structure and the frame, I know my stuff, I can still give grace. And then what happens is people go, God, I want to have praise like he just gave her praise. So what do? They share ideas. And you embrace it, you build it in, they communicate. And now people, when they think of the community, no matter what it is, there's this positive feeling wrapped around it. They may not remember the exact call, but the feeling when they left the call was always good. So when they think about, 10 o'clock call pops up, a reminder, they don't go, what happened last call? They go, call. How do I feel about that? I want to go. They come watch or they come engage. And so for me, those have been the core elements of how I've thought of developing my communities.
There's a theme of anticipation with everything that you've addressed here today. Anticipate the consequences of your decisions one way or the other for the better. What is my community going to feel if I put that, or also kind of giving those defined roles and a roadmap for how to go about their experience when it comes to interacting with you, but also level setting and anticipating what it is that you want your audience to leave with is something I hope the audience today takes note of, that foresight. Because when you have that foresight, you can start to craft and reverse engineer accordingly. And you've given great examples of different ways that you've actionably been able to do that. So as we round this thing out, you had also mentioned something previously about how you don't know what the version of you 10 years from now is going to be like, which is interesting because the question that I pose to all my guests as a final question is, say that person was to fly in today.
I have no idea.
He's in that ideal spot. What do you think he would say to you in order to get there?
Man, I don't know anybody else's perspective really, but my own. I know my wife's, my brain, but we never really know someone else's mind fully. So I just want that guy to come back and I want him to respect the work I put in to get wherever I'm at. Because if you go take me back 9 years ago, I didn't know this industry existed. If you'd asked me 9 years ago, kid you not, I'd have been like, I'm going to run a gym until I retire at 60 years old. That was it. And now I spend 90% of my workday here and it's 10% on a stage. It's way different. And so I don't want to confine myself to the bubble. What I do want to do is actively set like shorter goals, 3-6 months, and work my tail off, because I do know this. The harder I work in a direction, the faster I get to the fork. And what I mean by the fork is like the fork in the road where life presents to you the gift of multiple decisions. Hey, here's, based on how hard you worked, Anthony, you now have an introduction to this human being, and they introduce you to this opportunity. And because it now exists, you get to choose if you want to take it or not. If you didn't work, Ant, you wouldn't have got this opportunity or even known it existed. So for me, I just want to work at the level necessary that my gut knows to put me in position to be in front of those opportunities. So when I say I don't know what 10 years looks like, I literally have zero clue what it looks like 10 years from now. I might be on a spaceship. I don't know. Who knows? So for me, I sit back and go, I'm just going to work my tail off and do what's planned out for my life and not get in the way of it. In fact, as a man of faith, and this may tie in, I tell people, I don't want to mess up the plan with my plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Anthony Trucks, please let everyone know where they can keep up with your journey.
Just go to @AnthonyTrucks on Instagram. Easy peasy.
Appreciate your time, man. This was so much fun.
Pleasure. Thank you.